Do we just no?
Hi, everybody.
Howdy.
Internet land.
Oh, Ryan, did you want the Microsoft Office story? Because I just took it without realizing that.
Oh, I don't have any preference. You can have it if you want.
Okay.
Okay. Are we ready to go otherwise?
I can do the sling thing. Okay, yes, we are. We are now prepared.
Okay, I am going to social us real quick. Are we broadcasting? We are. And Bob and Matt just appear to have dropped. Oh wait, no, they're back.
Yeah, we've been here.
Yeah, you guys are cutting out a lot.
We're cutting out.
Yeah, your whole video feed cuts out and then skips words, noises.
Well, that's
That was actually kind of funny. The timing there was almost comedic. Yeah, looks like they're having some connection issue of some kind.
I can do a test. Are you not seeing us still?
I can see now, but yeah, it's cutting out a lot. I mean, if it's not cutting out on your end, then it doesn't really matter. But if we want to hear what you're saying, it matters a little.
Nothing's cutting out on my end. Let me check my upload here.
I think it's internet related. It could just be some kind of link from you to us kind of thing.
Should we talk about the Google update on this episode?
The Google update?
Google
Yeah.
update.
I mean, it just happened like yesterday, but
The search update?
yeah.
Did that really change anything?
I mean, a whole bunch of people can't use it anymore, but
Oh, wait, really?
yeah. Well, because before it was limited by what language you had your phone set to, but now apparently it uses physical location.
Oh, that's dumb.
Oh, yeah.
So a whole bunch of people who were using it can't use it now.
So like they
At least
can't
that's my
use.
understanding.
So I can't use the Now launcher.
Or they can. They just
search.
can't have. They can do search. They just don't have Google Now cards.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's dumb, but I mean, I guess I can understand why that would be location based.
I mean, yeah, it just seems like the whole thing of like they were able to use it before.
Yeah.
That seems kind of crappy. But I guess the affected parties have figured it out.
Okay. Well, then, meh.
Okay. Let's do this.
As soon as they get things figured out, I'm sure we will.
Let's not do this. There's a bold thought.
Figure out if there's a bandwidth issue or something.
Hello.
I hope Mullins. Wait, we weren't on the air, were we? About the chicken satay.
No.
Mullins was asking. He said that he was looking forward to David talking about the chicken satay.
Yeah. Oh wow.
There wasn't any.
There was none.
I have no chicken satay comments
Nowhere
to make
in
at this
Vegas
time.
there was no chicken satay.
There was not.
I'm kind of confused. I don't know what to do with that. Did they have smoked salmon?
No, they didn't.
Wow. 0 for 2.
Yeah, actually, we're losing audio here too, Bob. Like, there's things where
Nobody's talking. I hear Liam all the time.
yeah, but every now and then one of William's words disappears.
I haven't heard any missed words.
That's right, because they're
that's fun. That's Matt's point.
No, I mean I haven't heard any.
David just had a response to a question that I saw his mouth move, but I heard no audio.
I didn't.
Matt is hallucinating.
I think so too. I'm just gonna start recording, and whatever happens, what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
think
play
you guys
play
haven't dropped.
play it by ear.
So then they
Ah.
drop right then. But of course. Oh boy.
We dropped.
Yeah, you're back now.
Maybe they were just really quiet and still for a second.
I'm really black.
Welcome to the 2015. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Ruddick.
My name's
Mine was
Bradley.
Yeah, this is not
It was not. It was in the wrong. It was in the wrong order. I wasn't expecting it.
I saw this coming, and I was like, should I talk?
I know. As soon as you didn't say anything. I looked at the thing. I was like, oh, why am I second?
It's okay, though.
It's okay. Yeah, that intro was plagued from the start by dropouts.
Yeah.
The timing was all wrong.
It was, and I think Matt and
Okay,
Bob are still.
are we gonna do the order that's on the sheet, or are we gonna switch it to the usual one?
I don't care. Let's just do the usual one,
Okay,
so we all know what's actually going on.
sounds good.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, January 8th, 2015.
Oh, can we even do this? Honestly, this isn't going to work. It's not. If it keeps doing this, we can't do the show.
Is it that bad?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, you just dropped out for a big chunk of the intro.
Yeah, you're
so
driving
we
out
didn't know.
for between
we didn't know when
3
to
and
talk.
10 seconds at a time, and it's.
Do you
not
guys
good.
want to try reconnecting to the Hangout and see if you can talk words
Maybe
without
reset all your networking equipment, Bob, and maybe hopefully that'll fix it.
It's not a bandwidth thing. I'm getting 50 down and 10 up.
Yeah, but maybe there's something in your network that is causing cuts. I don't know. I mean, or it could just be Hangouts being crappy, but we're not having any problems.
I'm not having any problems hearing you, and you guys are.
Yes, and you just cut out right there.
Well, let's just try to get through the intro maybe again, and if we make it through that, I think it'll be a lot less obvious if we have an issue, and we'll just try to blaze through it.
Yeah, see, that just...
Okay.
Welcome home, David.
I mean, there's nothing abnormal about the little digital artifacts that are coming in, but they're not cutting out. Is it audio cutting out, or are we dropping?
Everything. Video stops, audio stops, and then you cut back in.
Now, has their video dropped since that last one when we tried to start the show?
I don't think so.
I mean, maybe the problem has solved itself, and we should just try again and see how it goes.
Yeah, maybe.
We're already a half an hour late. We might as well just do this thing if we can do it.
Yep.
Just do it live.
Yeah, so in the audience, the people who are watching are saying that they see Bob and Matt cutting out too, specifically.
It'll
Okay.
be.
Let me try something here.
Why would I want to share the Hangouts toolbox in Google Plus?
Does
I
it
don't
have like a
know.
Google Plus page? Can you like be a fan of the Hangout?
No, there's
God
just
damn
a
it.
share button, and
My-
it initiates a post of me sharing the Hangouts toolbox.
Apparently, I said Google Plus, and that was enough for my Nexus 6 to wake up. It's like, oh, did you say okay, Google? No, phone, I didn't. Shush.
Wait, what did you not say?
Yeah. You're a funny guy, Liam. Trying to trick me.
There's someone named Liam in the chat room.
I know it's confusing me.
I'm freaking out.
Imposter. Should boot him.
Whenever I hear imposter, I think about Imposter Oak. Fake Dr. Oak. Or Professor Oak, sorry. He's probably a doctor too, if we're honest.
Probably.
We should start a separate podcast about Hangouts technical issues.
Oh,
That's
yes.
actually what we're doing right now. The first like 45 minutes of this broadcast we can just chop off. This is Hangout Sucks, episode 1.
And the episode's over.
Yeah. Yeah, we put out one every week, but it's just silence because Hangout sucks so bad that we couldn't actually record the episode. It's a meta sort of statement about how annoying Hangouts is.
Thanks, Mullins. You know me so well.
Are Matt and Bob doing a thing of some sort that's supposed to fix a thing?
Maybe.
They're doing
It's not fixing it right now because they're frozen.
a ceremonial dance.
It's like
It's
a
gonna be
rain dance,
but for
but for
internet.
bandwidth.
Oh my god.
You're waking the relevant spirits.
Very in sync on that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Okay. Are they back?
Maybe.
They look frozen to me.
Okay, you guys are here again.
Kinda.
I rebooted all the things.
All the things. You just rebooted my phone.
Wow.
All the things.
Impressive. What was that? A note or?
No, it's the Nexus 6. It
Oh,
randomly
that's right, it
reboots
has
for no
the-
reason.
That's right. It has that AT&T tone thing.
I think it's the only the AT&T one that does it too. That has this problem.
Are we cutting out now? After
Not
rebooting all
yet.
the
Your actually
things?
video looks significantly better now.
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
let's go for it. Let's give it a shot.
Okay, bye.
Let's go. welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, January 8th, 2015. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Ruddick.
I'm Liam Spradlin.
I'm Ryan Whitmom.
And I'm experiencing an earthquake. Welcome to the show. My name's Bob Severance.
Bob.
Matt.
Hey, so we got a big show. Lots of CES stuff to cover. So let's get started. Of course, not with CES stuff, but rather with Code Google.
Oh, I missed my button.
Apparently, the video's pinned to me.
All right, so we're going to start off with Google announcing their audio version of Chromecast, which, you know, I've streamed plenty of audio with Chromecast, so I wasn't really aware that this is something that I needed, but apparently it is. It's something we need. And Liam, can you tell us why?
Because it's awesome. From a user-facing perspective, there's not really that much different. You still press the cast button. But now the things that you can cast to will include audio devices from Sony, LG, Denon, and some OEM suppliers too. So, yeah, I mean it's audio casting to
It's
audio
basically Sonos, but not Sonos.
Yeah, it's the same protocol as Chromecast. Just
Yes,
It
Sonos
just won't
will
cost.
never work with Sonos.
Yeah, it will cost hopefully like $500 for a tiny little speaker.
Yep.
I bet
I
they
mean,
won't
this
have
is
cool
good.
commercials
This is
for
the
it.
thing that I'd like that it should be. I mean, I agree with its existence.
Well, that's as close as David gets to liking something.
That's an important endorsement.
It is.
Yeah.
He hasn't agreed to my existence yet.
Probably why we have all the hardware issues.
Thanks, David.
Well, if you would stop rebooting his phone from the other side of
I
the
know.
country.
I'm sorry.
So, other news this week from Google revolves around the Nest product. It seems like the smart thermostat that we've had for a few years is starting to get a little bit smarter, one little step at a time. So, what's new this week, Liam?
Yeah, so Nest basically can now connect with things like the QuickSet Kivo, Whirlpool washers, Hue light bulbs, and some other stuff to... I mean, it's Nest, but it's cool to see it connecting with all these other Internet of Things devices.
Is this so that it can warm the color in your room and make you feel warmer even without turning the heat up?
Yes,
That's exactly it.
it can also warm your clothes.
Nice. And if you had like an easy bake oven, maybe you could make little cookies or something. That'd be fun.
Tiny warm cookies or cupcakes.
We need a Hue bake oven. That's a Kickstarter right there.
That'd be a much more expensive version of the oven.
All right.
The
Yeah.
cookies can change colors.
Nice.
All right, that's going to do it for Code Google. Let's move on to the hot sheet.
Hachi.
All right, so David spent most of the week this week at CES, and of course there were lots of hardware announcements there. Most of them a little bit on the less exciting side, but probably one of the biggest phone stories from the show was the LG G Flex 2, which David, you got a chance to get hands-on with it. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, the G Flex 2 is, really the only exciting phone announced at CES. There were some other phones, but not from any major manufacturers, and none of the independent ones were all that interesting. So the G Flex 2, basically, the original G Flex really felt kind of like a prototype. I mean, it was a finished product, but you could tell that there were some corners cut to get there. It didn't feel especially expensive. It was gigantic at a 6-inch display. And the software on it, I mean, the new software isn't that much better, in my opinion. But the phone itself has been improved in a lot of really, noticeable ways. First, the screen has been dropped to 5.5 inches, which is a great decision. Please keep doing that, everybody. 5 point. Let's all agree. Make it. We need an international treaty of phone sizes that are acceptable. I'm going to go with 4.7 to 5.9 inches at the very highest. Any higher is going to be a war crime.
I was just about to suggest that it's a crime against humanity if you make a phone bigger than that. So
Yeah. So the G Flex 2, other than that, the display is now 1080p. It doesn't seem to have that weird, crappy cardboard texture like quality to display that it had on the first G Flex. But I wasn't looking super closely at that. It wasn't noticeable if it was there. But I did notice that the brightness slider did not seem to do anything. If you went below like 30%, like it just stayed the same level of brightness. And the cardboardy texture was worse on the worst on the original G Flex when the brightness was very low. So I'm not sure if they're just trying to conceal it or either way, it doesn't seem to be visible at regular brightness anymore, which is a big deal because that was a really annoying problem with that phone. The scratches in the back, I proceeded to immediately cut through with a butter knife. It did not heal. Which, I mean, I shouldn't have been poking it that hard, but they told us to. So it supposedly heals 70 times faster. So like 2 to 3 seconds for most, small scratches is what they say. But it's also the most dust magnety phone of all time. So you can choose to have a phone that doesn't scratch, yet is persistently dusty and extremely shiny and greasy looking, or one that does scratch. And I mean, that doesn't seem like too difficult of a call to make to me, but LG wanted to stick with that, I guess. There's a Snapdragon 810 processor in there, which is, this is the first device other than, I guess Xiaomi announced, they have their 810 phone because they have to beat everybody. But the G Flex 2 will probably be the first phone that, actually comes out with a 810 processor. That's a pretty big deal. It's a 64-bit chip, which means it's on the ARM-V8 instruction set. It has a much more powerful Qualcomm Adreno GPU. I think they're saying about 30% faster, 40% more efficient than the old Adreno 420. Overall, it just seems like a really nice phone. Battery's 3,000 milliamp hours. You do get a micro SD slot. Back cover is removable, but the battery is not replaceable because it's a curved battery and probably blow up or something. I don't know. And yeah, it comes in gray or flamenco red.
Flamenco red.
Yep. The color of the dance.
Yes, because dances have colors.
They do.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Asus. They had a couple of devices that were announced this week, and we knew that they were coming because there was some speculation, some teaser videos, and some filings. So Ryan, what's new from Asus this week?
Asus announced 2 new devices. The first one is the Zenfone 2. So it's running an Intel Atom processor, a 64-bit chip. It has up to 4 gigs of RAM. There will also be a 2 gigabyte version, 5.5-inch 1080p screen, 13 megapixel camera, LTE. It's actually a pretty reasonably high-end phone, especially by Asus standards. And the price will start at $199. So that'll obviously be for the 2 gigabyte RAM version, and I think the processor might be clocked a little bit lower on that one. But it looks like a neat phone, and it has a fair number of LTE bands too, so it should work in the US if you buy one.
And then, how many different variants of this phone there are, like with the 2 gig RAM version underclocked?
I don't know if they said exactly what the different SKUs are going to be, just that either 2 or 4 gigs of RAM and possibly processor difference. But I'm sure they'll clarify before they start selling them to people, or at least one would hope.
Let's hope, yeah.
Yeah. So then the other phone they announced is what they were teasing in that video a couple weeks ago. It is the Zenfone Zoom. So this, as you might guess from the name, is a phone with a gigantic camera on the back. And I say gigantic in compared to other phones with cameras on the back that sort of promote the camera as the main feature. Like the Galaxy S4 Zoom was massive in every way. It was super thick and like the lens popped way out on the back. But this one, it looks a lot like a Lumia phone. It has a big circular camera hump, but it's not super tall. It's a 13 megapixel sensor, and it has 3x optical zoom. So that means the lenses actually change focal length, so you get you can zoom in without losing resolution. And they're saying this is the thinnest 3x optical zoom phone ever, which I mean it's really not hard to do because the others have been gigantic, and and otherwise it's very similar to the Zenfone 2. It's a 5.5-inch 1080p screen. It also has laser autofocus, which was really cool on the G3. So hopefully it'll be really cool here too. This one starts at I think $399 is going to be the $399 unlocked, and this one will be out a little bit later in Q2 of 2015. The Zenfone 2 is supposed to be out in a month or two.
I find it funny that ASUS when product at CES they use US dollars for the pricing, but this stuff will never come to America. So
I mean, I think they're probably going to sell them someplace online.
maybe. I mean, ASUS is actually. I mean, there's a lot of times where they've done this. They announce in America, they announce US dollar pricing, and when you ask is it coming to America, they're like, probably not.
I mean, I feel like most of the devices they announce are pretty low end though. I mean, they announce a lot of budget
the
stuff.
price points for these
and
are really competitive.
I mean, I think that these are spec-wise, these devices would actually interest a lot of North American buyers.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see what happens because there's no way ASUS is going to get a carrier partnership. It's just not.
Oh yeah, no, they're not
enough.
equipped to work that sort of deal out.
Yeah. This is I think bigger for Intel than it is for ASUS if they do bring it to the U.S. because Intel has no phone market penetration in the U.S. at all.
Yeah, I mean,
and this
hopefully
seems like a good phone to try to do that with.
Yeah, hopefully maybe Intel can help them along with that. Even if they just sell it on Amazon or something, that would be sufficient.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to another phone you probably won't ever see for sale here. Xiaomi has announced the Redmi 2 smartphone, which is packing some pretty substantial specs itself, right, Liam?
Yeah, the Xiaomi Redmi 2, which comes in pastel pink, yellow, green, white, or black, was announced. It has a Snapdragon 410 1.2 gigahertz processor, which is 64-bit, a 4.7-inch 720p display, a gig of RAM. So it is a mid-range device, but what's cool about it is that it's only 700 RMB, which is about $112, which is super cheap, particularly for an LTE phone in China. So. Cool device. I guess the story is really the price versus specs comparison. But again, we're not going to see this in the U.S.
Right. And this one will probably not be on Amazon.
Probably not.
Probably not. All right. So also coming to China are a couple new handsets from Motorola, except for those of us stateside, they don't actually look new at all, especially this one called the Moto X Pro. I don't know. Seems a little familiar, right, Ryan?
Well, now that Motorola is owned by Lenovo, they're getting back into China after leaving. So yeah, they're bringing the Moto G, the second gen one with LTE, and the Moto X to China, and then also something called the Moto X Pro, which when we first read the description sounded a lot like the Nexus 6. And indeed, going to Motorola's Chinese website, there is a picture of the Moto X Pro, and it is a Nexus 6 without the Nexus branding on it. It looks like the exact same hardware, and then just without all of the googly stuff because it's for the Chinese market, and a lot of that stuff just doesn't work. So. Yeah, those are I think the Moto X is going to be out. I think they said next month, and then the other two devices will be out probably in March after the Chinese New Year. So people in China will be able to purchase brand new Motorola devices.
They will.
Yes. How long have they been out? That was part of the changeover after the acquisition by Google.
Yeah, I don't know when exactly they left China. I think is more of a very slow dying off because they had some Chinese or they had Asian specific phone models.
Yeah, I remember there was. I feel like there was an announcement at some point where Motorola said they were pulling
Oh
back
yeah,
from a whole bunch of markets. I
yeah. I
forget when
think
that was
China was
though.
part of that. So that was like when they pulled out, like they closed all those facilities and stuff. I guess.
Right. That
Yeah.
was the cutting the overhead after the Google acquisition, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to Razer's Forge TV. Of course, this is the Android TV box that we started seeing back at Google I/O. We saw some teasers of this coming device, and we've talked about it before, but it looks like it's finally an official device, right, David?
It is. So the Forge is going to come out at honestly I've used it, but I have no idea when it's going to come out. Fall. It's okay. So it launches this spring. I wanted to make sure I got that right. It's $100, which is the most exciting thing about it.
Yes.
With undoubtedly, that's what everybody is excited about with this set-top box, and for obvious reasons, because $99 isn't, investing into the Android TV ecosystem. It's a very small step to take. So, as far as the box itself, I mean, it's a box. There's not much more to say about it. So what makes Razer's box different, obviously, are their peripherals. It's almost like they're a peripheral company. So they've got a gamepad, and that costs $80 by itself. And yeah, that's correct. $50 if you bundle it with a console, which I think most people are going to do. I think it might actually even be kind of hard to find the console by itself outside of Razer's website. And then the other peripheral is the turret, which is a combination wireless mouse keyboard thing. So it's a portable keyboard with a fold-out not trackpad, mouse pad, and then you put the little mini, it looks like a little mini Death Adder mouse, one of Razer's most popular models. And they're actually Wi-Fi, so they use Wi-Fi Direct to connect to the Razer box, which is good because Bluetooth is laggy, and they're trying to promote this as like a gaming-focused Android TV device. So they seem very nice. The keyboard, I wasn't in love with the way the keys felt, but it was probably a very early engineering unit. So I'm going to bet the feel's going to evolve a lot, and at $130 for the pair, I would hope it does. But the mouse felt very nice. I mean, Razer's obviously very well regarded in the gaming mice community. So that was
The community of mice that like to game.
yes. So what was I going to say? The cool thing that everybody wants to talk about is the streaming feature. So they're going to make something that's supposed to be competitive with NVIDIA's game stream technology, except it'll work with any Windows computer and it will stream any game from Steam. And so that you can then send that stream to your Android TV box, which then obviously puts out a picture on your TV so you can play your PC games on your TV. Razer says they're doing a different approach than NVIDIA. NVIDIA apparently, their technology relies basically on trying to make encoding, sending, and then decoding video as fast as humanly possible. Basically, they're using, quote, existing technologies. Razer says their approach is unique and that it's different and better. Of course, they're going to say that. Mm-hmm. Now, I tried to get a demonstration of the game streaming thing, and it was never available to look at. So we didn't look at it. I haven't read anybody else's sentiments on it at this point, so I don't know what to say about it. If it works, it could be a major selling feature. And I mean, I don't know. Razer's desktop mouse software is pretty crappy.
It does not surprise me that they were not too keen to show it off at every opportunity. It's probably got a ways to go.
Yeah,
they're charging an extra $40 for the software. Is that just like a one-time?
What are they?
According to our post,
$39 extra.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah,
and they're eventually going to bring it to other Android devices, so you'll be able to stream to your phone, is what I was told.
I would like NVIDIA to just make an Android TV box because GameStream already works really well. If they could just do that, that'd be great.
NVIDIA would be the perfect Android TV box partner because, I mean, they already build, essentially boxes for their chipsets.
Tegra is a warm, power-hungry chip that would probably be just fine in, a box where it can be plugged into the wall all the time.
Yep, I think that would probably be a good idea.
Yeah, so NVIDIA, please do that. I will buy it.
So that'll be the Shield TV and.
Oh God.
Yeah, you can plug the Shield tablet into a TV in console mode, but like, it actually will use more power than it can take in, even if you have it plugged into the wall while you're playing an intensive game. So
Yeah, if it's a game on the device, yeah, definitely. Also, it gets stupid, crazy, dumb hot.
oh yeah, I
If
guess
you're
Game Stream isn't as bad for
Game
it.
Stream and Grid don't seem to affect it that much. It still charges.
Yeah, but that's not super convenient. It would be nice to have like a box that's always there and does other stuff.
I agree. It would make more sense. Consider, I mean, the Shield tablet as a tablet that's the most uninteresting part of it to me. So if you got rid of the screen, I probably wouldn't care that much. Oh, did we just lose
Let's go on to Android. Yes. What's that?
Sorry, we lost you for a sec.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's move on to Android Auto because they were represented pretty substantially at CES this year. We've got first of all the announcement from Volkswagen that they were going to have some upcoming models coming very soon that were going to support Android Auto. So, David, when and which models do you think we could expect to see that?
Okay, from Volkswagen? That's what we're talking about? I don't know which models it will be. I just know it's going to. I mean, the Golf is probably going to be one of them. They're, pushing the. They've got Golf, fancy Golf concepts, and picture of the Android Auto or their app shows a Golf. So it's hard to say exactly which cars unless they announce that, and I don't think they specifically did. So the Golf is the only vehicle explicitly mentioned in the announcement. Now, as far as their specific implementation, it looks like they're also trying to push something that isn't Android Auto as part of this, like something that plugs into your phone for Volkswagen, but I don't know what that's about. So yeah, that makes Volkswagen, they've been part of the Open Automotive Alliance since it was announced. I mean, you can basically, all these automakers who are announcing their cars are going to have this stuff. You just go to the Open Automotive Alliance page and you can see that they're on there and have been there since the beginning. So, I mean, with anything in the world of cars, you can expect a multi-year rollout of this product. So yes, it's entirely possible we will still be seeing, like cars that are just now getting Android Auto 2 or 3 years from now, if it's still popular.
Right. And they're also saying it's going to have CarPlay in it as well, and it seemed like that was kind of a running theme where most of the Android Auto announcements also included.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, Apple and Google aren't discouraging the automakers from, using both platforms on their cars. There are holdouts, though. Now, Mercedes-Benz was originally on the Android or the Open Automotive Alliance, and they dropped, and they're going with CarPlay. So, and BMW was never on it, and they're going with CarPlay. One of Volkswagen's own properties, Porsche, hasn't announced an alliance. And there's some other ones out there, too, that are, relatively important. I mean, Fiat is on there, but so Fiat Chrysler Group, but Ferrari, I think, announced that they're doing CarPlay. You can probably expect a lot of the exotic car makers will shy away from Android Auto, at least until it's much more cemented into the ecosystem.
Auto announcements this week were regarding head units or in-car media systems that could be installed aftermarket. So we had a couple of those that were announced this week from some manufacturers you know. So Ryan, what announcements did we see there?
So I think we had 3 announcements of head units that you can add to a car, so you don't have to buy a new car to get Android Auto, but you are going to have to probably spend some serious money. At least based on these early ones. So Parrot announced one, the RNB6. This one's interesting because it has its own version of Android that it runs, like without plugging a phone in, it just does all this stuff. It does like hands-free calling and navigation and music and a bunch of other stuff. And then when you plug a phone in, it does either Android Auto or CarPlay. So it has sort of 2 different Android things going on. I kind of don't think that's necessary, but it appears to be a theme that these manufacturers still want to have really full-featured software in their head units, even when you're just going to plug a phone in, probably. So there's that one, and they didn't say how much it'll be, I don't think, but they're it's very similar to devices they already make that are like $500. So I mean, they might charge even more for it because of, I guess the Android Auto stuff is a selling point and the new Android software. So there's that. And then Kenwood announced one. Similar deal. Also didn't tell you how much they would sell it for, but again, we expect it will probably be substantial. It has a bunch of features built in that work whether or not you have a phone plugged in. And then Pioneer announced several, and these are the ones that we have numbers on. So the cheapest will be $700, and they go all the way up to $1,400. And there is very, very little difference between these, except the most expensive one has a capacitive touchscreen, and the others are resistive, which is awful. Pioneer should not be doing this.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's terrible.
They're just really expensive, and I mean, they look fine as far as like head units go, but I can't imagine paying $1,400 when really all I need is a screen that I can put Android Auto on. I don't need all this other stuff.
Absolutely ridiculous. It's because they have to make everything to automotive spec, and so it has to all be, and they're just head unit companies, and they're used to say, oh, well, this, head unit has, 30% more fuses than the other one. It needs to be 30% more expensive. I think buying one of these is a terrible idea because you're, probably locking yourself out of, reasonably good firmware updates. I mean, I would be terrified of updating my Parrot head unit. I would not accept any OTAs unless it was already broken out of the box.
Yeah, I just really want somebody to make one of these that doesn't do anything like important unless I have a phone plugged in. I don't need all this other stuff. Just like if it has like radio functionality without the phone, that's good for me. I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't know if the aftermarket stereo market is just shrinking anyways, because all new cars, you can't put in head units in them anymore. Not without pulling out a Dremel tool and doing like a custom mount job, and who wants to do that? So I think I think this will be a relatively short-lived product category, the Android Auto and CarPlay enabled head unit, or it'll just become incredibly niche because there just aren't enough cars anymore that would benefit from this upgrade because a lot of them can't use it.
I'm still stuck on the resistive display. Like, where do they find those? Why?
It's a 7. They're 7-inch screens too. Like, these weren't probably just like sitting around someplace. These are like really big resistive touch screens.
Right. Like they made this.
Yeah. They hired a company to manufacture a large number. Well, maybe not a large number. 10 or 15 of these they had manufactured.
Yeah, I can't imagine I can sell a lot of these.
I'm just thinking like somebody made that decision.
Yeah, somebody who was just really bogged down in how much things were going to cost, and they looked at a parts list like, all right, this'll do. We can do this.
Yeah, it's way too expensive considering I was talking to Hyundai, and they say, yeah, on our cars, Android Auto and CarPlay are going to be included in the Tier 1 upgrade on infotainment systems for like mid-level cars. So that means not the stripped out base package, but if you buy like the car that costs like $3,000 more and has nicer seats and nicer wheels and stuff, yeah, Android Auto is probably going to be thrown in there too, and they're going to ditch their CD player and in-car navigation because Android Auto and CarPlay will do that. So it's actually like Hyundai is looking at like kind of a cost savings thing in a way, which is the right way to look at it.
Right. Yeah, there's a whole lot less you've got to do and develop and maintain, and why not offload that responsibility on a company that already has a track record for doing it pretty well?
Almost like it makes sense.
Almost. It's right up there near the making sense area. All right, let's move on to Android Wear. Not a whole lot announced as far as Android Wear is concerned, but we did see a pretty slick-looking reinvention of the Sony Smartwatch 3, right, David?
We did. So Sony, Sony was already up there in the press conference before they announced it, and the guy was wearing it. So, I believe somebody leaked a press image of this before it came out. Which, it's not like that happens every year at CES with Sony. They should really check their email distro list a little better. So it's a metal smartwatch, so it's a metal Sony Smartwatch 3. That's what it is. It's metal. I touched it. It is metal. I can confirm. And they also did this little swappable mechanism things, like you can put a outer shell on your smartwatch and swap into regular 22 millimeter straps, which I guess are 24 millimeter, excuse me, which I guess is cool, but it seemed kind of clunky, and I don't know. I'd be afraid to break something like that.
I
It
think
seems like
that's
a
more
hacky
just
solution.
that's more like a consolation prize for the folks who already bought a Sony Smartwatch 3.
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, anybody that bought it though had to like go into it knowing that, or at least expecting that they were going to be buying Sony's kind of clunky silicone bands.
Sure. Sure. Actually, you know, when I bought my Zen watch, I was pretty close to actually picking the Smartwatch 3 just because of the battery life and the, you know, basically upgradability with all the, you know, the GPS and other things that other watches don't have. But I just ultimately couldn't get past the silicone watch that's going to gather dust and just look like crap after.
Yeah, but I mean that metal one does look pretty nice.
It does look pretty
It
nice.
does look pretty nice. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's talk about chips because there was a pretty big chip announcement from NVIDIA this week, and maybe they could use this chip in their Android TV box that they're going to be building because we just decided that they need to do that. But the Tegra X1 chipset is a thing, and Ryan, you're going to tell us about it, right?
Yes. So the big deal with this is that it brings their newest desktop Maxwell GPU architecture to mobile. So it is a 256 core GPU, twice as many cores as last time. It is supposedly considerably faster, which you would expect. It is also 64-bit like the last Tegra chip they announced. However, it is not using NVIDIA's custom Denver cores, which is that's the dual core version of the K1 that's in the Nexus 9. They are actually using ARM reference cores. So it is an octa-core chip, I believe. It has four Cortex A50. What is it? A57 is the big, and then the little chip, I think 53. So it's a different sort of design, but it should actually perform pretty well. There are a lot of chips that use that same setup. I would assume that the Denver just isn't ready to be integrated in a more than 2-core configuration, so that's why they had to go with ARM reference cores at this time. So this will, I assume, show up in an updated Shield tablet at some point this year, and then maybe there will be a Denver version of it later. But yes, that's the new Tegra X1.
Tegra X1. All right, and lastly on the hot sheet is the new Walkman. Walkman, if you thought was a dead brand name, well, you're wrong. It's still around. It's here. And Ryan, this one's a bit of a head scratcher. I can't for the life of me make any sense of this particular product. Can you?
I think there are probably 5 or 6 people in the world that saw this and thought, oh, good, I'm going to definitely buy that. That looks great. So this is actually the second kind of product in this category that Sony's made. There was a ZX1 last year, but even it was not this ridiculous because the ZX2 is $1,200. It's a $1,200 essentially an audio player. Like it has a 4-inch touch screen, but it's FWVGA. That's 854 by 480, the resolution that the original Motorola Droid had actually, and it runs Android 4.2. It's such a bizarre device. It from what I understand, it's built very well. It seems sturdy. It has these really cool controls on the edge. Big gold embossed headphone jack and everything, and supposedly it sounds really good, and it has 128 gigabytes of built-in storage plus a micro SD card. So if you have like a gigantic library of lossless music files, then sure, maybe this is something that you'd be into if you're that kind of audiophile person. I can't imagine anybody else being even remotely interested in paying that kind of money for this device.
Yes, what Sony is hoping, and trust me, this is by no means the most expensive audiophile MP3 player.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they go up into I think 3,000 is one of the most expensive ones out there. Sony is trying to use brand clout to break into this kind of boutique market for these things, and I'm sure the profit margin they're hoping to get on these is insane. The audiophile market has there's serious audiophile market, and then there's I have money to waste, show me what I can throw it at audiophile market. This is definitely the latter.
Yeah,
Sony wasn't talking about how really anything about the hardware either. They're all about, it's got 120 gigabytes of storage and does some proprietary LDAC encoding. Nobody's paying $1,200 for software.
Yeah, this is for people who will pay $5,000 for a speaker interconnect.
Exactly. It's right with your triple Diamond Plus Monster HDMI cable. They cost $180.
Yeah. So regular people do not need to be concerned with this at all.
Did it get GMS? Does it have Google Play on there? Francois was asking how they got certified if it's running Android 4.2. I don't know if it has Google Play.
I don't know. I haven't seen enough screenshots of it actually doing stuff to say. I mean, I guess it might not.
No, it has Google Play Store. So it means they could have submitted it to Google before the new GMS certifications went into effect, or Sony could have just gotten a special pass from Google because it's not a phone.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, when would 4.2 have been disallowed? If they submitted it before
I think it was
Lollipop, would that have been
March
okay?
or something.
Okay.
Last year. That's a while. But yeah, I would guess that more likely they probably got some kind of special exemption because it's in a weird product category, and it doesn't, I don't really care it runs Android 4.2 because it does such a specific thing that, how it's a $1,200 music player. You're going to use it to play either your ridiculously oversized FLAC music files or just high bitrate MP3s. It has a music player app. It does everything it needs to do for that purpose in its life.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks kind of neat, but I could see a lot of people thinking it's ugly.
Yeah, I'm not in love or in hate with the looks. It's got that kind of like elongated cylinder design going with the edges. It's interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a lot of other kind of weird and quirky devices, a lot of Bluetooth speakers announced at CES, a lot of other just random grills running Android and the likes. But since those are products that are probably never going to reach market saturation, we're just going to move right on to app updates. All right, so starting off with Sling TV. Of course, everybody remembers Sling from the Sling box when it was pretty prevalent a few years back. Looks like they're actually looking into getting into streaming services from someplace other than your own phone, from the internet. And Ryan, what's going on with the streaming service? Is this something that looks interesting to you?
I don't know if it looks interesting to me necessarily, but I think it'll do it for a lot of people. So this is essentially live cable streaming over the internet. So for $20 a month, this service will include 12 channels. It has ESPN and ESPN2, TNT, Food Network, Travel Channel, Cartoon Network, Disney, and a couple others. So a pretty reasonable selection. It will also have a couple of $5 expansion packages where you can get like more news stuff or more kids programming if you want to do that. And then you'll be able to, on most of these channels, pause and rewind, and you'll actually have up to 3 days of replay, they call it, on this, so you'll be able to go back and watch something that you missed. So, I mean, this is one of the first services that will do this without any kind of a cable subscription. They said that it's going to come out, I think, in early or mid 2015, and of course they're doing this because Sling is now owned by Dish, so there's some sort of licensing tie-in. So this isn't like an amazing thing that like Sling magically worked out this deal. Like Dish is basically doing this.
And Dish has actually been talking to the media about offering something like this for a while. I don't know that I realized it was going to be coming this quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dish is probably concerned that a lot of people just don't want to mess around with a satellite dish anymore. Like, it's not super reliable and it's kind of expensive, and the equipment is either expensive or like can get damaged or whatever. And then in doing it over the internet, if you can find a way to do the licensing, is just a lot easier.
Sure.
Yeah, and no normal person is going to care about the fact that the video is more compressed over the internet. It's basically the same.
Yeah, I mean, when most people are watching on a 1080p TV that's like across the room, they're not going to be able to see the difference between a compressed 1080p stream and something coming from a satellite dish.
Nope.
All right, so let's talk next about Microsoft and the Office app suite for the Android tablet. It looks like it's a little bit more readily available. It's been in beta for a little bit, but you might be able to get it if you're just an average Joe right now, Liam.
Yeah, so Word, Excel, and PowerPoint are all basically open betas now for tablets between 7 and 10.1 inches running Android, KitKat, or Lollipop. Although they will warn you that there may be compatibility issues with Lollipop if that's what you're running. But yeah, I mean, they actually look pretty nice, and now anyone can try them. So.
Does this requires what, an Office 365 subscription? Is that?
No, you can just use it.
Just use it.
Yeah, I mean, at least right now. Yeah, it's actually really impressive. It makes me sad about how bad Google Docs is on Android because the Word app is really good.
Yeah, the thing about the free part is that I don't know if it's implemented in the beta yet, but I know on iOS that you get a lot more features if you are a 365 subscriber. You can still use the apps, but a lot of stuff is locked out.
It didn't immediately seem like there was like stuff missing when I tried it, but I didn't use it for that long.
I assume when it comes to release, that will change.
Yeah, perhaps, yeah. I mean, I guess it has in-app purchases right now between $1 and $10. I'm not sure. I guess maybe that's a subscription. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, it works surprisingly well.
Good. All right, let's move on to other news.
It's time for other news. It's the news other than what we've been talking about.
All right, so the last little bit we have here is about Energus, the company that has apparently employed voodoo priests to make new technology that charges your device. I mean, that's basically what I got from the article, David.
Yeah, pretty much. It seems to be some variety of strange and dark witchcraft. So Energus is a company that they booked appointments for people at CES this year to do their first like public demo. I mean, they demoed last year apparently, but they demoed with they had an iPhone adapter that made the phone like the thickness of like 2 packs of cigarettes, and it was their transmitter was built into a speaker that was like gigantic and ugly. So this year, what Energus is they have a technology they call it Watt Up. It is truly over-the-air power transmission, and I mean it has far fewer caveats than any other over-the-air power system I've seen. System you might be aware of like Whitetricity. Whitetricity is what you would probably call a loosely coupled technology. It can go over the air, and I think Whitetricity can go maybe 10 feet, but it's extremely directional. You have to point the transmitter at the object you want to charge, and it's very limited that way. And so you have to have a coil for each direction you want to be something to be pointing in. And so that's why they like Whitetricity for like embedded uses in tables, so you can put a wide area on a table and not just like a regular coil like Qi where you have to line up exactly. You just put it, make a area on the table from underneath, you mount a transmitter on the bottom, and you get like this zone of chargeability. What Energus is, imagine just it essentially is a Wi-Fi router, is their concept. It's about twice as big as a Wi-Fi router. They won't ever sell you these because they're just an IP licensing company, basically. They develop the technology. Other companies will make the stuff. So imagine, your Wi-Fi router, instead of just, transmitting Wi-Fi signal for internet, also transmits signal for power. And that's basically how it works. And it is very similar to Wi-Fi because it uses basically a very similar radio frequency. It's at 5.8 gigahertz, somewhere in there. So a little above, 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, but it's still in the same spectrum. And so you can actually combine the antennas, so you don't need different antennas to use it, which is pretty neat. So it charges up to 15 feet away. But at 15 feet, the amount of charge you can get out of it drops off pretty rapidly. So at up to 5 feet, you can get up to 4 watts per device is what they're advertising for now. 5 to 10 feet, 2 watts per device. 10 to 15 feet, 1 watt. And up to 16 watts gross at 0 to 5 feet, and then 8, and then 4. So you could have 4 devices charging 4 watts if they're all within 5 feet of the transmitter device. So yeah, and it works. They demoed it. They used it to power some candles that were probably, some of them probably like 10 feet away from the TV. It's pretty incredible when you see that it actually works. They had a Galaxy S5 with a battery case that had the receiver embedded. It looked like a normal expanded battery case. It wasn't weird or giant or bulgy. And it works. It charges the phone over the air. And you don't have to, the thing that I think really wows most people, your objects don't have to be still while they charge. You can be like waving your phone around rapidly in the air, and it will continue to charge, even while it's moving, while it's in your pocket, while you're using it, whatever.
Does motion slow down the charge?
I think if you go really, really fast, it would probably freak out a little bit because it's using Bluetooth to poll for the location. So it's getting relative XYZ coordinate from the device back to the router, and it's using this thing called pocket forming, RF pocket forming, to form basically a bubble of intense RF energy around your device in order for it to charge using the receiver. So if you went really fast, maybe you could trick it, but in normal movement, it would follow it fine.
Can I just say for the record that using candles as your demo is probably the least impressive thing they could have done?
Yeah, it wasn't that exciting, but at the same time, when you realize when you like turned it on and all the candles turn on at the same time, and it's still pretty neat.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
the fact
fair.
that it works.
I'm just saying I've never seen a wired candle like in my entire life, so you'd think they'd pick something you're used to seeing a wire from.
Yeah, just like a light bulb or something. I don't know.
Right.
Well, a light bulb probably wouldn't work. There's not enough wattage there. It's very low wattage, so maybe just an LED. I don't know.
4-watt light bulb, that'd be, yeah.
So it's my understanding though that the Bluetooth that they use for location can also be used for like authenticating devices, so you can actually control what gets connected to your wireless power network.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a complete interface in there for management. Like you can set up rules, so you can say, I want this device to charge when I get home and take away power from everything else and devote the most power you can to this device. Or I only want to charge this device on this day, or I don't want the transmitter on during these hours, or I only want power to these devices during these hours. Like say you have like a wireless smoke alarm and like a some other low power thing like a wearable, and you only want to charge them at night, then you can do that. There are a lot of there are almost unimaginable number of applications for this.
I assume there's probably also like a public mode where you can just have whatever's in range.
Yeah, they're actually building a whole billing backend too, so that you go to the coffee shop and pay for wireless power, which I would never do, but there's probably a lot of demand for that.
Well, people pay for wired power at airports, so.
Do they?
I've never been at an airport where they charge you for the outlets.
No, it's not outlets. There's actually charging stations where they have coiled cables that you actually have to leave your phone in the station.
Oh yeah, I mean I've been to airports that they have like the charging stations, but they're usually just like there and they have giant ads all over them.
Yeah, that's my experience as well. But yeah, that's Energus. It's pretty. I mean, okay. So the thing I guess that's most important: when would you actually, as a person, see this technology? It sounds like they're going to start in Korea. That's where their firmest partners are right now. And they're working with Foxconn to build like an iPhone battery case that has a receiver in it. Basically, it's like a Mophie, but charges your phone over the air too. When we would actually see that here, I don't know, and it comes down to their hardware partners. So you got to remember that for like a phone, you've got to work. You got to work this into design of a phone maybe 2, 3, 4 years ahead of time. While the phone's being designed. The first product that they will come out with will be, and by they I mean somebody will come out with a product with watt up, will be battery cases. So it's obvious, they're easy to build, it's easy to build a receiver into them, it doesn't add any considerable bulk to the battery case, and the product development cycle for those is obviously super short. And then after that, you might see it in wearables. It's small enough, it scales in the wearables pretty easily, apparently.
Actually, I hadn't even considered wearables. That's actually a pretty nice application.
Yeah, it is. That's one they're really pushing is the wearable thing because if you charge your stuff like, your watch every day, that's super annoying. Why do you want to do that? Why not just have it charge on your, nightstand every time when you put it down? And to answer Aquamore's question about energy efficiency, right now it's not fantastic. So it's about 30%, which I mean sounds bad, but also consider that it's omnidirectional and 15-foot radius around the transmission device. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't go through walls though. That is an important caveat. They're thinking in Generation 3 of their chip, which they're on Generation 2 right now. They're thinking they should be able to get to about 70%. But honestly, even at 30%, that means if you are putting out 16 watts of signal, worth of signal, let's say, you get the wall, you're probably consuming 60 or 70 watts, which is, still less than a laptop.
Cool deal. All right, well, I think that's about all we got. We did get a voicemail this week, but with CES and everything going on, we're just going to kind of save those for next week. So if you send in a voicemail this week, don't worry, we'll get to it. So, Bob, you want to cue the outro, sir?
Okay. We hope you enjoyed the show. As always, send your feedback to podcast@androidpolice.com. You can also call us at 530-HELLO-AP. That's 530-435-5627. Find us on Twitter at Android Police, Google Plus, and Facebook.
Okay, I gotta go. I'm like super exhausted from traveling and stuff today. So.
Understood.
I'm out.
Okay. Well, at least we got the show done.
We did.
Yeah.
Okay, gents.
That reboot did wonders.
Yeah, no dropouts at all.
Yay!
Yeah, well, I'm gonna depart as well. It's getting to be late. So I will see you guys next week.
See ya.
All right, sounds good. Peace out.
Bye, guys.
Bye.